substance packed, turn up talk show. Vital. It is what everyone's talking about. Adjust your radio and find us on social media at V949 on Facebook so you can watch and comment. Vital is on your radio. That's what I'm talking about. Now. Keep it real, yeah, swear on. I'ma keep it real when the world on. Keep on making moves like Mike Wayne. Title, that's vital. I'ma give him something niggas slide to. Put the guard down, show me what your mind is. Let it move down for the fight like Michael. Idols, that's vital. That's vital. That's vital. That's vital. That's vital. Very important. I think I said it's vital. That's vital. Very important.
We are doing exactly that. It's V949 WATV, where the V stands for Vital on Sunday nights. Welcome to the show. Welcome to the show. Welcome to the show. It's the third Sunday in January, the first of the third Sundays in 2022. So you know what happens on the third Sunday? It's DMR, dating, mating, and relating, and everything that's related to that. How we connect with other people, how we communicate, how we vibe, how we relate. Are we relatable? Dating, mating, and relating. We talk about sex, we talk about relationships, we talk about all of that. It all happens on the third Sunday. So if you're in for those type of conversations, you're in the right place. Make sure that you go ahead and start a watch party if they still offer that. I don't even know if they do that anymore on Facebook, but definitely share the stream. Share it, let your people know that, hey, the ladies are on the radio. They're talking. This is the only show of its kind. The content, the structure, the voices, the looks, the sound effects. You get all of it right here with the Vital Vixens. So share this video. Tell your people. Vixens, introduce yourselves.
Hello, it's your girl, Santa.
And the others are in the virtual studio today. There might be some delay.
Hi, it's your girl, Lovely Bones.
All right. And Black is in the virtual studio as well. And in studio, we have a special guest. I'm going to let her introduce herself. Go ahead and jump in there.
Hey, everyone. I'm Ellie Friedman. I'm a deputy district attorney for the Birmingham Division of Jefferson County, and I'm on the Anti-Human Trafficking Committee for the Junior League of Birmingham.
Awesome. So, Ellie, welcome in. And to each of you that have your radio set and that are watching online, this is a show that you are in for a lot of education and information from something that I think so many of us take for granted or overlook. It's like one of the most overlooked things that I can think of right now when it comes to human interaction, relating, dating, mating, relating. It's not what one would desire. It just happens, and we have to talk about it. So shouts out to Lovely Bones for reaching out and getting some work done to pull this topic together. So Ellie, you said human trafficking. January is...
Yeah, January is Human Trafficking Awareness Month.
Okay. And so any awareness month, we're big on them here because that's the opportunity for us to educate the general public and ourselves on these different things that are happening right around us. So what is human trafficking?
Yeah, so human trafficking, the legal definition is going to be a sex act, anything sexual, for a thing of value that involves force, fraud, or coercion, unless someone is a minor. And if they're a minor, all you need is a sex act and a thing. In Alabama, for human trafficking, under 19 is considered a minor.
Okay. All right. So a sex act is what makes it human trafficking. Because, I don't even want to say it that way. I'm going to say it, but I don't want to sound insensitive. But what other reasons do people move people around? But we remember slavery.
Yeah.
And what that was about. So is there ever or often a comparison between slavery and human trafficking?
Yeah, people often call it modern day slavery.
Mm-hmm. So like sex slaves, we've heard of that before. Yeah. Is that still?
Yeah, that's still applicable.
Wow.
And that force, fraud, coercion is what makes it different from prostitution or, say, consensual sex.
Force, fraud, or
coercion.
Now, what do those terms mean?
Yeah, force can be physical force, violence.
Mm-hmm.
Fraud can be, if you do this, I'll put you in my music video, or I'll get you a modeling contract that doesn't actually exist.
Mm-hmm.
And coercion can be, if you don't do this, then I'm going to release this nude photo that you sent me, or I'm going to tell your friends and family what you've been up to, that you're a prostitute, that you've done X, Y, and Z. So it can be any of those things.
Mm-hmm. Wow. So all of the different things that at some point all of us have maybe heard or been exposed to in some way, and either we just knew like this doesn't sound right, or this is
Yeah,
what?
most people think human trafficking is the Liam Neeson Taken movies, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's not that. I mean, that's possible, and that is a form of human trafficking.
Uh-huh.
But realistically, what it looks like in our community is people associate it with either prostitution or even domestic violence, and it's more
Wow.
complicated than that.
So it's very complicated. So that means like when we see it from the outside looking in, what might it look like? What might human trafficking look like?
Yeah, it might look like prostitution, or it might look like domestic violence, like they're in a relationship,
Hmm.
and that's because there's different forms of trafficking.
Wow. See, this is already like mind blowing because there's levels to it.
Oh yeah.
And how how difficult it is. It back in the day we did a show with someone that had survived human trafficking, and the only way she was able to get out was because she had a heart attack at a casino, and that was her escape. And this was after years and years of being a part of that system. And we were just wondering, like, so what did you tell? Where did your family think that you were? And you had access to phones and stuff like that, but you never reached out. No, because they told me that they knew where they were too, and she found out that the traffickers did. They knew though. They knew that information.
Yeah, if you think of it this way, the average age of entry into human trafficking is 15 or 16. So girls that get into human trafficking at such a young age,
Mhm.
and those traffickers use force, fraud, and coercion to keep them there. It's called the maintenance phase. It's very similar to your cycle of domestic violence.
Mhm.
You've got your recruitment and your assessment phase. If we're talking about a Romeo pimp, and there's different kinds, they're going to reach out and convince that girl that she's in a relationship with them, that it's me and you versus the world. We're in this together. We're in love. And then once they get them into a relationship, they'll switch and they'll say what we call the breaking phase.
Right.
Whatever the girl's boundaries are, they try and cross them. Whether that boundary is a nude photo, that boundary is if you have sex with my friend this one time so that we can have rent money, you're doing it for us.
Oh.
And once that boundary is crossed, then it makes it easier to continue breaking boundaries. And that's when you get your force, fraud, coercion, because they'll come back and say, well, you did it once. And if you don't do this again, I'm going to tell people you've already done it.
Wow.
So the victim will think they're doing it for a relationship, to be loyal, some semblance of romance, when in reality, they're becoming trafficking victims. And if you think about your mentality when you're 15 and 16, when you're already so vulnerable and you're already so insecure, it's really easy to trap someone in that life.
Like
Wow.
all a guy gotta say is, if you really love me, you'll do this. You'll prove it
Exactly.
to me. And it's like my first boyfriend, so I'm gonna do that.
Yeah.
And it just turns into
You're desperate for approval. You're desperate to be accepted somewhere.
right.
Mhm.
And the reality is, a lot of our victims are already coming from broken homes.
Right.
They're already the most vulnerable in our community to begin with. They're in the foster care system or involved in DHR somehow. And statistically speaking, most of your victims have some past history of sexual abuse
Some trauma.
already.
That's
Yeah,
correct.
and I was thinking that. Rosa, Lovely Bones, jump in on the conversation. I see you're unmuted, and once again, thank you for orchestrating this interview. I like to give the Vixens credit when they get out here and are really vital. So I appreciate you getting Ellie linked in with us for this show for January Human Trafficking Awareness Month.
Absolutely. I'm personally vested in the topic. So I heard her say so many things that are true about sex trafficking, human trafficking, really, because
Mhm.
it's so much more mental than it is physical. Because you asked, "Where's your family? Did you have access to a phone? Did you?"
Right.
Why it really is a mental breaking that happens, right? Because I can be outside all day, and the ability to walk away, I mean, this person can't get to me for hours, and
Right.
I'll still go back to them, right? And it is a feeling of dependency because I feel like I failed in my previous life, and I want to be successful here, right?
Hmm.
So it's really she really said a great point when she said most times you're already dealing with someone that's already broken, right?
Right. Right.
They've already been victimized in some type of way, right? They felt abandoned, i.e., foster care, broken home, mother. Most times it's motherless daughters, and
Hmm.
not in the fact of, oh, they didn't have a mother figure, but most times you'll find that most of the women will say either their mother was totally absent or deceased, something along that line biologically. So I myself personally have worked with the Well House downtown. It's something I'm really passionate about because it's something that we look at day to day. You would be surprised at how many actual quote unquote exotic dancers are actual
Hmm.
victims of human trafficking. They literally are standing there dancing all night. Um, and the person that they're working for is in the audience. So it's
Wow.
it's a reality of everyday life for some people.
So thank you for that, Bones. When I Ellie, listening to that and just thinking about the different settings and the different places that we are where we may be encountering a human trafficking situation, and even the mind frame of what Rosa just explained about, this person is basically my owner per se. If it's trafficking and I can't go anywhere, this person has control of me to the point where I'm working, I'm already demeaning myself in my job. And then now here you are with the extra added layer of pressure, this negative pressure for me to produce.
Because if you think of it this way, your trafficker, this is their source of income.
Yeah.
They work the victim. The victim is their source of income, and all they have to do is make sure they're doing what they're supposed to do.
Mm.
It's a very lucrative business. In the Birmingham metro area alone, it's $110 million a year annually business. And that's in Birmingham. So it's incredibly lucrative. If you think of it this way, it's about $150 for 30 minutes.
Mhm.
Most of your traffickers have on average 6 to 7 girls, what they call in their stable. That's a term they use for the girls that are working. And the girls see at least 10 people a night,
Wow.
10 Johns. So if you carry that math out and how lucrative it is, and it's different than drugs and guns. If
Hell
you
yeah.
sell drugs, they're gone. You can't use them again. You can't resell them. If you sell a gun, it's gone. It's done. Whereas if you're trafficking women, it's a renewable resource. So it's very lucrative.
I think about the mental strain of that. Like, where am I mentally having to do this type of work, or basically survival, me trying to stay alive in a situation like this, knowing that if I don't perform, if I can't perform, if I try to run away, try to get whatever the case may be, what my life looks like and what I'm thinking about on a daily basis, like that has to be torturous in itself.
Yeah. And if you're seeing 10 people a night, that's
Right.
10 rapes a night. And if you're doing that for days, weeks, months, years, you're talking about a significant compounded trauma.
Hence
And
the
people always say, why do
addiction.
they go back? Why
Yeah.
don't they leave?
Yeah.
It's much more complicated than that because if they leave, where are they going to go? They don't have a phone that's theirs.
Mhm.
They don't have identification, money. They're not going to school.
You don't know
If they're
who to
seeing all these
trust.
buyers,
Right.
they've got nowhere to go. This trafficker is at least offering them shelter and food.
Wow. Bones, what's up?
Um, so you said where would they go, right? It's not the
Mhm.
easiest conversation to return home and say this is what
Mm.
I've been involved in, right? It is a very hard conversation for people to understand, not necessarily for me as a person experiencing it to explain to you, but once I get
Right.
the inclination that when explaining to you and you get the inclination that, oh, you were a prostitute, your mindset typically changes how you feel
Wow.
about what I've done, right? But it's hard for me to make you understand just what Miss Ellie is saying. Hey, yeah, I lived this life and I've done this for this amount of time until it was numb to me. This was really my job. I knew I woke up and went to sleep and I had a quota to meet. I didn't have to be outside until from 7 to 6 in the morning, right? 12-hour shift, right? And you have X amount of time to bring in X amount of dollars, right? And this is it's serious. It's no, it's it can cause you to do, receive disciplinary actions, or you could be left outside until you come up with whatever amount you have to come up with. So how do you start the conversation if I was to leave and someone asked you, where you
Right.
been? What you been up to? What does that look like? You know how safe I would have to feel to disclose that to you?
Wow. So even with the relatives, the people that you feel would typically have your best interest at heart, and then I guess the other side of it, and this is us thinking from, you know, why is this allowed to be lucrative? Like if we can speak to somebody right now that may be in this type of situation, if they would call in and say, well, yeah, I can't say who I am or where I am, but this is why I can't leave, or this is why I won't call my family. For those who have never been in such a situation, it is hard to understand. Like I would
Yeah.
think that I would try to run off and call my family.
And that's the thing, is you have to think of it from the viewpoint of, one, this victim thinks they're still in a relationship with this trafficker.
And that's the next thing I want to talk about.
They think they're dating in a relationship with this person. Additionally, if you think about how often they're having to have sex with individuals, usually drugs come into play to keep them up, to keep them awake.
Right.
And then drugs become a form of force, fraud, and coercion. The withholding of drugs, how are you going to get this? Oh, now you're going to go home and you're addicted to meth. What are you going to tell them? It is a complicated interaction between the trafficker and the victim. And often you see force, fraud, and coercion all being used at the same time. It's very similar to domestic violence in that sense. It just involves sexual assault. It's the combination of both. If you are passionate about domestic violence and you're passionate about sexual assault, then by nature you have to be passionate about human trafficking.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you think about families where, like you said, they come from broken homes, no moms, no dads, or it's like if a female can get raped or molested as a child by a family member, and you see how family members are defensive and saying, well, it's your fault, why did this you're not telling the truth. So I can imagine if it's to that degree where drugs are involved, you're gone that long, of course somebody's going to say, well, you could have left, so that you just wanted to stay, and then that starts a whole different type of mental anguish.
And the thing is, right now we're talking about Romeo pimps exclusively, but there is familial trafficking. That's very common too.
Oh, like relatives.
Familial trafficking, relatives trafficking a child, whether that's a grandparent trafficking a granddaughter, mothers trafficking their daughters. And usually that's because there's a drug problem and they're needing money or rent. They need somewhere to stay.
We just saw a story about that not too long ago, where the mother of I want to say baby was 5 years old, and body was found here in Alabama. And there was a connection. The mom was on the news, and I have nothing to do with this. And it was something about the whole story that I think everybody was already like, yeah, you got everything to do with this. And it ended up being that her daughter was sold to this person that she had a relationship with for sex.
Yeah, I'd say our main forms of trafficking in Alabama are going to be your Romeo pimps that turn violent and your familial trafficking.
Wow.
And familial trafficking is much harder to identify because you need a victim almost to self-identify in order for it to come to light, which again, your family member is also your trafficker. Are you going to tell on them? And how old are you? Do you have the words to articulate it?
And what people really believe you, take you serious.
Exactly.
Wow. You're listening to Vital on B94.9 WATV, the third Sunday in January. And we are educating tonight, talking about something that is right under our noses often, where somebody who may have experienced this in a way where it's been direct, or somebody that's listening right now may know someone. But this is the conversation that we're having. We have Miss Ellie Friedman in facilitating this and teaching us a lot. So thank you, Ellie, for coming in. I want to jump to the phone lines right quick. Caller, you're in with Vital on B94.9 WATV. What's your question or comment?
Hey, Woo, you very vital tonight. Hey, check this out. Hey, the lady talked about strip clubs and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
From working in a strip club and seeing how the management looks at it, when these girls just come off the street and they go maybe and get their dance permits. This happens in all of those places.
Mm.
The young lady talked about Wu. She said that hey, well they have no family members. These family members have either discarded this person, this young lady,
Uh-huh.
as being a family member or being a quote unquote troublemaker in the family. She wasn't a troublemaker. She was just someone who was wayward. And the lady made the other point about Wu, her being without a mother or a family member or a father figure, someone to take her in and hold her and say, I love you.
Yeah.
So when you meet this guy on the street, he could be at a truck stop in Atlanta, Tennessee, where most of these girls come to Birmingham from. Then this guy he talks to him, Wu, and Wu he talks to them and babies them and loves on them, and they have never had that.
Right.
So then the trick comes in when Wu I tell you or I tell the female, hey, we ain't got nothing to eat. We won't have no gas. We ain't got this. And all the time we got this, but you say, how can we go and you say out of your heart, well, how can I help? Or what can I do to put some on the table?
Wow.
So Wu, you give me this grand idea about AJ, you can go out here and get this money and do this, and this.
Mm-hmm.
And then I want to oblige you because you've been so good to me, feeding me peanut butter and jelly. You've been feeding me some doggone bologna sandwiches. So I think that we deserve steak. So
Okay.
now, I go to the average place and I just started taking off my clothes and I started really discarding my own feelings about myself and humanity. And I just do this stuff and it it doesn't even log in my mind no more that I'm being taken advantage of.
Wow. AJ, so good to hear from you. Thank you for calling in. It's been a long time. And very great. That's how I mean that's sounds like Romeo to me.
Yeah, that's a classic Romeo pimp. I will say most of them don't meet at truck stops. They're going to meet on social media. The Romeo pimp is going to take advantage of a vulnerability they see on Facebook or Instagram.
Mm.
So let's say a 15-year-old posts a status that says, I hate my mom.
Yeah.
They see that status and they message them and say, I hate my mom too. And they build that connection through social media.
Mm.
So if you have young children or children that are in your middle school or early high school age, you need to
Yeah.
be looking out for who they're talking to on social media.
Absolutely. Oh, human trafficking awareness right here, right now on V94.9 WATV. Lady Wu and the Vital Vixens are having this conversation with Miss Ellie Friedman. Ellie, who are you representing tonight? I know your job. I will get into your job when we come back, but what organization are
I'm
you
with the
representing?
Junior League of Birmingham.
Okay. And the Junior League of Birmingham does what exactly?
Yeah, so we're a diverse group of women from all over Birmingham, Birmingham Metro, and a few other counties. We have over 2,000 women in the organization. We try and promote empowerment through leadership and civic engagement.
All right.
We, do over 55,000 volunteer hours a year, and we have over 30 different community placements in Birmingham.
55,000 hours of community service. Thank you for coming tonight. With this service, we're going to take just like a very quick break. We'll be right back. Don't go anywhere. If you have questions or comments, the phone lines are open 994-8949. You're listening to Vital on V94.9.
And I didn't realize it was that deep. Like, like you said, you look at the Taken movies and things like that, and you think that's just sex trafficking. But I know social media plays a big part.
And the thing is, everyone sees it and thinks like, oh, that she's a prostitute.
Mm-hmm.
But statistically speaking, majority of your prostitutes are actually trafficking victims because no one's.
I told you it was going to be quick, and we're already back. It's Vital, so that's what I do during the week, every day, 10 a.m. till 3 p.m. And then every Sunday night, I got my girls with me, and we are Vital. So catch us, the Abby Award-winning Vital Show, all types of conversation. Third Sundays here are DMR, dating, mating, and relating. We got some big stuff to get into, but there's nothing bigger than what we're talking about right now. The preservation of human life and existence and the respect of individuals to be able to do what they want to do, when they want to do, how they want to do it. But human trafficking strips all of that. And to help us have this conversation with stats and information and opportunity is Miss Ellie Friedman. So Ellie, you were saying that you're a part of the Junior League, and that's how that's how we connected with you through some other members. But you all actually have a branch dedicated to human trafficking.
Yeah, one of our 30 community placements is the Anti-Human Trafficking Committee.
Mhm.
It's an award-winning committee that focuses on 3 different areas. We talk about advocacy, so we go to every mayor in Birmingham Metro in January and have them declare January Human Trafficking Awareness Month.
Wonderful.
That kind of starts the conversation. Then we do signage. We've put signage in the Birmingham airport bathrooms, every truck stop in the state of
Very
Alabama.
good.
And we do trainings, free trainings for anyone that wants that. We're training the World Game staff. We've trained the Alabama Association of Private Investigators. We've trained fraternities and sororities. And so those are kind of the 3 main areas we focus on.
Awesome. That's great work. So these organizations, I'm sure, are these well, a part of the Junior League and the different, you said the community
projects.
They come from a place of passion, I'm sure, where people actually say, well, I think we should work on this.
Oh, yeah. And they change every year.
Okay.
So we kind of ebb and flow with what the community needs. We focus on women issues, so education, women empowerment, health and wellness, anything that kind of fits in and helps empower women in the community. We send some trained volunteers to that area, one of which is anti-human trafficking.
Thank you for that work. So looking at some of the things that we were discussing before with the statistics, you said that typically the age of entry into this would be about what?
15 or 16 nationally.
Okay. So 15 or 16, just females?
Well, 90% of your victims are going to be female. So I often refer to a victim as a she, but it's possible for men to be trafficked as well. They're just statistically smaller.
Okay. And I wondered about that because some of my earlier work was with the LGBTQIA+ community. And there were actually young men who I felt that that's what that could have been defined as.
And often what we see in that community is going to be what we call survival sex, which is a form of trafficking. If you have to have sex to survive, you're not giving that consent freely and willingly. If you're doing it just because you have to, that's a form of trafficking.
Wow. All right. So Black is in the studio and said that that's what she was going to ask. So yeah, any other questions that you all have, you can submit them on one of the live feeds. Right now we're live in a couple of places on Facebook, on the V949 page, also on Lady Wu at Vital Show on my personal page, and even on YouTube. We need y'all getting over there to YouTube as well. Like that's just kind of like the archive place, but we're going to put some activity over there. So go check us out and you can watch the show live right now. If you're listening, you can actually look. Human trafficking.
And I was thinking how you brought up social media. And I know a lot of women make posts about, oh, I need a sugar daddy. I want this. And I'm pretty sure they watch that too, like these young girls on Instagram, the models and everything, wanting a lavish life. And this guy comes in portraying he's, that guy that can give it to them. But the whole time it's going to be, you're going to be a stripper in a couple of months.
That's one of the main forms of recruitment, actually, is they get the bottom girl in their stable, the one who's the most trusted and who's been doing it the longest, and they'll send them into the community, even in the schools, depending on age, and send them in with a new purse, brand new shoes, a great outfit. And they'll use that as a form of recruitment to get other girls into what we call the life, into being trafficked.
Right. That's crazy.
Wow. Bones, you got something?
No, she actually said it perfectly. I actually was going to make the statement about most traffickers, because they do have stables of women. They do allow titles or placement, right? And it's either a top BITCH or a bottom BITCH, right? And either way, the structure of their stable is almost built around her, because she's influential to every other female, right? Most females are looking to her to see how to survive. How does she move with the trafficker? And she offers the females the best advice to avoid, angering him. She's going to lace them up on what to do when they go outside, where to hide your money, how to hand your money off, things you can say, things you can't say. Because when I say it's an intricate network, it is an intricate network. It is it's hard. it's hard to describe it as such a flat out term, because
Yeah.
um, if if you ever if you ever are involved with it, or if you ever know that you come in contact with someone that's been involved with it, um, like myself, they'll be able to describe it to you, but it sounds so familiar, right? It'll
Mm.
start sounding family like. It'll start sounding friend like. It'll start sounding like a cadence, just like you have one to go to work. That's their life's
Right.
cadence, right?
Yeah.
So it's it's so far fetched from someone's mind that doesn't see this as normal, but to the person that's living it, it's so normal to it's so weird that it's far fetched to you, if that makes
Mm.
sense.
And that,
Yeah. Yeah.
because that's what I was going to say. What kind of mental status could you be in to feel comfortable making these women come in and do these things? Like, was there a point in the time when you got in where you wanted to get away, and is that you feel so comfortable to where I'm okay bringing in other women so they can feel this pain that I've experienced, instead of saying, let me try to help you get out, or let me try to, it's like, I don't know what kind of mental status that could be.
Well, the bottoms, when they bring in girls, usually don't have to work.
Mm.
They're more of a manager. So it saves them from being traumatized themselves. And then if you think of it this way, it creates a weird, messed up family dynamic of she's almost a mother figure that some of these victims don't have.
Wow.
But again, when we're talking about force, fraud, and control,
Mm.
often the trafficker will beat the bottom if one of the girls doesn't do something, because he can't have those girls showing up
Mm.
bruised and beaten, because the Johns, they're buying the fantasy of consent, right?
Wow.
And you can't buy that fantasy if the girl's injured. So he won't beat that victim, he'll beat the bottom in front of the victim as a force of control.
Wow. Woo, you are listening to Vital on V94.9 WATV. Human Trafficking Awareness Month is January. And this is what a way to kick it off. Like, it's also DMR, dating, mating, and relating. We do that every third Sunday. It's like one of the biggest shows because people love to talk about relationship. But I think about now how relationship can look. Like when you see these different toxic relationships and you think about, well, maybe that's not a relationship. How can we on the outside look in at these situations of human trafficking and determine that that's not a relationship? Or like, what does that conversation sound like when you encounter someone who you see as a victim?
It's hard.
Mhm.
Victims typically go back to their traffickers on average 7 times before they ever
Wow.
leave. Because if you think about it, it's the same dynamic as domestic violence. How do you convince someone who's in a domestic violence relationship that what's happening is abnormal, unacceptable? It's difficult. It involves compound trauma, and sometimes they're not ready to leave.
Mm.
The best way to do it is to, acknowledge it and be supportive and do what you can. You can't force anyone to leave that situation if they're not ready.
Lovely Bones. What's up?
She hit the nail on the head. It's no way to actually force it. If you feel like you've identified it, I think the worst thing you can do is identify it to them, because if
Mm.
I'm not in a stage, a mental state where I am aware I'm being abused, and you bring it up to me about the
Mm-hmm.
person I love or the family that I've built and now I trust, what you instantly get is a fight from me. You don't get me to hear you. I can't hear you. I have to defend is what is my reality, what is my family, what I know is love. So I don't think that I think that what you want to ask a person to do is to be able to identify things of trauma and offer, hey, this is something, would you like to do this with me? Almost group it, because
Yeah.
coupling it makes it easier for that person, right? Because if you're waiting on them to do it, they would have done it. It's really a mental breakdown, done in phases, just like Ellie described. So by the time I'm able to walk around 12 hours and go get this money, come back with it, give it to you. You don't have to worry about me leaving. That's not the problem. The problem would be someone like you who would try to tell me what I'm doing is wrong, or what you think you see, and then I'll have to describe it to you just the way it was described to me. Hey, we've got to eat, we've got to do this, we've got to do that. So I don't think you look that way.
So, Rosa, what I'm hearing, and you all know, like when I speak, especially on Vital, I'm speaking from not only the communicator's point, but also from the therapist point. And I would definitely want to know, well, what, just help me understand what love looks like and what that feels like to you. Is there any space for that in human trafficking? Like, what does love look like to you? What does that feel like to you? And would you tell me, well, yeah, I mean, when he beats me, it is because of love. But when I'm out here, like what in those moments, Rosa, would be the response to being asked a question that way?
Now, if you ask me that, I can answer it, but I can tell you
Okay.
I've already been conditioned not to reveal
Okay.
anything about my life that may compromise him, may compromise what I do. So, speaking to me, you're a therapist, but he's really good too, right?
Okay. Okay.
So, I promise it's not that easy. It just probably won't happen that she'll say, yeah, and after I sleep with him, I get $150. Then I go hand it over here to Ronnie. Then I come right back out here so that I can meet him and get $75 for this. Then I go hand it. You're probably not going to hear that. You're not going to hear about the obstacles I endure and these moments. You really will hear a facade. You'll hear like, hey, we have a regular relationship. We wake up and go to sleep. Well, how do you guys make a living? We just get it how we can. We're trying, no, really.
Right. Yeah, like okay. And that would be, oh, okay. So the seed has been planted. Like at this point, you know that, hey, if ever, whenever, boom, here. Okay. And I guess that's even with, like you said, the passion for domestic violence. When you see somebody going through and like, okay, the common one, I fell down the steps. No, you didn't. Okay, I know you didn't. But if that's what you want it to be for right now, okay, I have to accept that. But just know. So, when we're in that position, because it does kind of sound very defeatist when you hear somebody that has experienced this tell you that, hey, in these moments when you're trying to reach out and help somebody, that ain't what I want to hear. That I can't register that. And that would make somebody not say anything. But if you or someone is in a situation like this, hopefully you're getting some type of encouragement or some type of something to help you understand a better way to go about intervening. And I'm going to be thinking too while we talk about maybe how you can, because we like solutions here. We're always solution based.
Yeah, there's some positive to this.
Yeah.
Birmingham, the state of Alabama is incredibly lucky that we have one of the largest organizations dedicated to trafficking victims in the state, actually almost nationally. It's called the Well House. It is a center for victims of human trafficking.
Mm-hmm.
They can go and they have long-term treatment. They get jobs, they get apartments. It is a wonderful organization that's right in our backyard. And that's a great resource if you know someone who's trying to get out of this situation.
Right.
I would caution everyone, if you know someone who's in it, don't say you're a human trafficking victim.
Yeah.
Because I think the title human trafficking has a PR problem, because we picture Liam Neeson, we picture smuggling across borders, and we picture something international when it's not that. That's not what we're talking about. So if you label someone a human trafficking victim when they're in the life, they're going to say, no, I'm not. This is my boyfriend.
Okay.
So, yeah, but you can recognize it for what it is when you're out of it, and just, direct them towards the Well House. If you ever want to leave, there is a place you can go that will provide you your basic needs, that food, your shelter, your free counseling, your medical attention, all of that. And that is a great resource.
And I can imagine like that medical attention piece, it just sticks out so loudly to me, thinking about how many people you are subject to see physically in whatever time frame. Like, is this trafficker really thinking about my sexual health? Like,
No.
What does that look like?
They're not.
Right. Like, what does that even, is that what, girl, get outside? Like, what does that look like? And what is the concern for the well-being of the individuals that they have basically captured, just taken?
Yeah.
Just been taken.
One of the few times victims are ever alone is when they're at the hospital. And if the hospital, something's going wrong. They're there because something extreme. So our medical providers need to be trained on trafficking to recognize it.
Mm.
I think that's incredibly important. And then if you're thinking about actual health,
Mm-hmm.
the average lifespan of someone who's in the life, who's actively being trafficked, is 7 years. And that the most common form of death for a victim in trafficking is either suicide or overdose.
Mm-hmm.
So there is no health and wellness in trafficking. It's the opposite.
So when somebody can tell the story that, hey, I survived this and I got out, like those stories really, really just make me say, yes, like somebody got it. I always want to know, like, what was that moment? What was what happened? How did the switch come on? And Elliot or Rosa, you either or both share some experiences of what you've heard. I shared the one that we heard back in the day about how she got out. It was because of a health, like it was nothing else that could be done. She's having a heart attack in the casino on the floor.
Yeah. It's whatever rock bottom, whatever is that victim's rock bottom. Whenever they've hit that, that's when they're ready. But it's different for every victim. And sometimes it's not a moment, it's a thought or it's a feeling. And they say that this isn't right. This isn't healthy. I'm not in a relationship. I'm being used. But you can't say once X, Y, and Z happens, then they'll be ready to leave. It's just different for everyone.
Okay. Bones, what you got? What help us hear some of those moments where, okay, there's a brighter side to this.
I agree with Ellie. It is a rock bottom moment for an individual. It's really a self discovering moment. My personal experience. He went to prison and we were still communicating through the phone. I'll never forget it. And I was actually working, and someone that I met while I was working, he was trying to understand why I was doing what I was doing while I was talking on the phone. And I was crying because he was just talking. I mean, it was just, I would have to take you there, but I'm not going to. So the guy said to me, he was like, what is he saying to you? And I was repeating it. And he was telling me what to get from the guy. And the guy was like, where is he? And I told him he was in prison, and he was like, really? He was like, so he can't touch you. He really had to, it was like an aha moment. And the way he spoke to him, I'd never heard someone speak to him like that. Like he immediately became human to me. Like, oh God, you can get hurt. Hold up. You're not immortal. Like you're not like it.
Like you tried to make me believe.
It was like a real live aha moment. Like me and this guy are still friends today, to the point where I'll never forget what he did for me in that moment. And I tell him all the time, like in that moment, if he hadn't taken my phone from me in that moment and spoken it to the guy who's my ex-husband, I would not have ever thought, like, I really was walking down the street trying to figure out how I was going to do what he was asking me to do. And,
wow.
And it was just like in that moment, he was like, you do realize there's nothing he can do to you. And I was like, what? And my ex-husband was so mad when he heard him say that. And he grabbed the phone and he spoke to him in a way. And I was like, oh my God, you're in trouble. And he was like, what is he going to do to me? And
right.
So it took like that whole night. We went to Denny's and everything, and I was just like, really? And
Still blown away.
And I had no clue what to do the next day. So while
Wow.
it was an eye-opening moment, it started a cycle for me that was very difficult, right? Because one, I was 27, never worked a job, didn't have a GED. I didn't know any basic life skills. I didn't understand how to do really anything. So it was so difficult because where do you start? Because I stay at the Econo Lodge and I pay for my room weekly. And now you just
and that's what I know.
question my life. Yes, you just changed my life, true enough. But now what do I do?
Now what do I do? First of all, the fact that you shared that openly to our listening audience is amazing. And I always say, like, your story is your story. It's your story to be told. That's your narrative. And to see who you are now and how you were able to come out of that moment and figure it out and keep moving, the resilience that you have is just amazing. And I speak about that all the time. Keep being great. Keep being great. One time, while I have your attention, for all of our listeners, that are viewing. Let me shout you out. What's up, Krishana, Valeria, Devin? Hey, hey. And then there's some other people watching on other streams. Let me find you so I can say your names. Hold, please. Uh, what up, Robert, Jonathan, Traveling Shoes? Hey there. What up, Derek? Latrice, I see some Clarks on here. Latrice Clark, Angeline, hey, Antoinette, and Patricia. So, hey, everybody who's like currently viewing, share this stream. This is great information. And then for all of you who are listening that are not watching, hello to you again as well. You are listening to our version of education on human trafficking. And not only do we have an expert in building, but we also have a survivor, somebody who can tell us about this thing from a personal standpoint. And I think that always makes that makes your antenna stand up when somebody shares their experience. Um, the holidays just passed. And sometimes you only see relatives on the holidays. And you may see a relative that you're sure that this relationship is not that. This is not healthy. This is not a good relationship. Um, do we have any, you said the safe house, the well house?
The well house.
The well house.
Yeah.
Any like, what is the process for somebody that will want to reach out, or somebody that it clicks for? Like, what's the immediacy of how they can start moving?
The well house has an emergency number that's 24/7.
Good.
So whenever that epiphany happens, you can call that number. They'll come pick you up and they'll take you to the well house. They'll get you a job. They have a contract with a college. They can help you get your degrees.
Yes.
It is a comprehensive treatment center, and people from around the country come to it. It's not just the state of Alabama. It really is a very cool
Alabama is good for something.
And it's here in Alabama.
That's what's up.
If you go visit, go check it out. It's really nice. And they have
Yes.
Well House Child, where they can accept children.
Good.
It is a really, really cool organization. But if you see something, and it's not necessarily a family member, but if you see something and you suspect it to be trafficking, you have a lot of options. You can call Crime Stoppers.
Mhm.
So people think Crime Stoppers is for solving crimes,
Right.
but it's really for reporting anything that might be criminal.
Okay.
So if you're local and you see something you think is trafficking, you can call Crime Stoppers, and they route it to the detective that's in the right jurisdiction for wherever you report it.
Okay.
If you're traveling, there's something called the Blue Campaign through the Department of Homeland Security,
Mhm.
and you can call that number, and then they'll route it to the right jurisdiction and the right detective in that jurisdiction that can try and go and follow up and investigate. Because I know people are reluctant to call 911.
Yeah.
That's more for like your immediate emergency, which it could be depending on what you're seeing.
Right.
But those are other options if you don't want to either give your name or you're not sure what you're looking at. At least that way it's going to be investigated and followed up on, and you don't have to necessarily be involved.
Good. And we will provide these resources to you. Be sure to follow our social media page, and go ahead and like the Vital Vixens page. But this information will be posted at Lady Woo and also on Vital Show after the show. The conversations that have to be had to be preventative. These are preventive conversations to hopefully encourage you to speak to your young girls, even your young boys, about things to look out for, things to listen for, things to avoid, what to do if this happens, or if you feel like something is wrong, or somebody is, I would say, weird. Like, you get weird vibes from people like, that was super weird, and yeah, I'm gonna block you, especially on social media, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok. Like, block them. You got to know who to block. So talk to your children, your young people, about what this could possibly look like. 994-8949. The phone lines are open if you want to get in on this conversation. What's up, Lovely Bones?
Well, I was gonna say, bringing awareness is key, but you also want to make sure that Ellie pointed out early on that, hey, these young ladies are already broken, more than likely victimized. So if you know of someone in your family that is under those terms, and then you see something immediately different, like a relationship, and then they move out of the city, or they're immediately isolated, things like that are red flags to this type of circumstance. But what you want to offer that person is actually the knowledge of self, right? You want to make sure that they understand their value well before he puts a value on them. Because I can tell you right now, that was one of the I met my ex-husband when I was 17, and I did not understand the value of me because no one had ever given it to me, right? So
Wow.
when I met him and he showed value or showed interest in what he thought was value in me, that was intriguing to me because I'd never
Mm.
experienced it. So I didn't get it from anywhere first but him. So it was I would say what you want to do is you want to actually kind of be more concerning, more loving, right? Because
Mm-hmm.
it is the person that's broken that is 90% chance to actually walk into this. And when I say walk into this, it's because it's something that you're held captive mentally, and you can be held captive physically. It just
Yeah.
depends on the style of pimp that you have, right? And the way they plan on breaking you. But it is typically you go through. It doesn't matter how he starts; he's every style of pimp, right? You really want to focus in on that person that has been molested, that has been victimized, that has really struggled with finding themselves early on, early young age, young adolescent, teenager, moving forward, because by the time he gets to them, again, it's a mental thing, so it's
Yeah.
no way for you to gauge a time frame or whatever. But the only way to prevent it is to it's a mental game. You would have to get to me before he does and plant your seed first.
Mm. And then look, just with you saying that, I think about how we'll meet just people like outside of human trafficking. We'll meet somebody, we're head over heels for them, and nobody can tell us anything about this person while we're in that space. Now, when we come out of that space and we can't stand them and we get it, oh, we can talk about it all day now. Like, I get it now, I'm out of it. But when I'm in it, when you're in it, the conversation is different. The approach is different. The abuse is, I mean, it's just different. Shouts out to one of our other Vixens, honorary Vixen, uh, always down for the brand and listening. I really appreciate that. Courtney, Counselor Courtney, and she sent some information in for us. If you want to reach out to the Well House, you can hit them up at info@thewellhouse.org. There's a dash right there between the and well. So info@thewellhouse.org. Also, you can call them at 1-800-991-0948. 1-800-991-0948. And if you're local, 306-6058. 306-6058. Hit them up. Let them know what you need. And if you're listening and you just want more information, hit them up for that as well. Ellie, anything else? What have we?
There's a lot to talk about
I'm
when it comes
sure.
to trafficking. We talked about some of the signs, but there's different signs if they're a loved one
Mhm.
versus if you're just out in the community.
Let's go there.
If we're talking about loved ones, you need to be looking at your child and thinking about boundaries. Is this person asking you to do things that make you feel uncomfortable, even if they're small, right? A nude photo doesn't necessarily have to lead to human trafficking,
Yeah.
but it can if that's a boundary you've set and they're making you cross it. So,
Mhm.
if we're talking about conversations with our kids, we need to talk about setting boundaries and maintaining them at a young age. And then, if you're out in the community, there's signs. For example, someone dressed inappropriately for the weather. Again, you're selling a fantasy, you're selling the illusion of sex, so you have to dress like it. You're not out there in a turtleneck and sweats. You're dressed to look sexy. You should be looking for tattoos. Often your traffickers will brand their victims in places that are visible.
Okay.
We're talking about tattoos on the insides of wrists, your chest, and your neck. It could be symbols like a rose or a crown or their name. A lot of traffickers put their name in those areas.
A lot of the tattoos that a lot of us already have.
Yeah, because I got one on the inside of my wrist.
Oh,
Yeah.
Well, again, not all these signs by themselves are signs of
Right,
trafficking.
right,
You have
right.
to use your common sense
Right.
to evaluate
Yeah.
the situation. Another good one would be a minor at a hotel during school hours.
Mhm.
That by itself doesn't mean they're a trafficking victim, but it could be.
It's a red. It's a flag.
It's a flag.
It's a
Just
flag.
take into consideration all of it. Does it look like they're being demeaned or controlled? That's because victims cannot make eye contact with another male. When you're in the life, that's considered choosing up. That's if I'm a victim and I make eye contact with another male, that's me signaling to them that I want to choose them as my trafficker rather than this trafficker. And it could lead to a lot of violence if I'm caught. So if you're at a hotel, there is a minor, it's school hours, they're not making eye contact, they're dressed inappropriately, you see a tattoo, you should be thinking, what is happening here?
Yeah.
And that's the hotel's important because statistically most of your trafficking is going to occur at your hotels and your motels. And the most common time to buy sex is actually 3 p.m.
3
Wow.
p.m.
3 p.m. It's very strange. I can't explain it. But that's because your Johns, who we haven't talked about a lot, your Johns often have jobs that allow them to leave like that.
And
Their average
Mm.
income is over $100,000 a year. Over half of them are married with kids under the age of 18.
Who, the Johns?
The Johns.
Girl, stop.
Yes.
The Johns. Because
Mhm.
again, they have the disposable income to drop $150 on 30 minutes with the girl. If you think of it that way, who's buying it? That's the real conversation.
Mhm. Gotcha. So this gives me time to kind of creep away right quick, and I can go back to work or go home or whatever. I like
Yeah.
nothing happened. Wow.
So you have to think about a John is wanting one of two experiences. I either want a girlfriend experience or a Playboy experience, right? That means I
Okay.
want to coddle you. I want you girlfriend experience. I want to coddle you. I want you in my space. We can watch movies. You know, we can have something to eat before we go, do the do. Playboy experience is more so fantasy driven. Hey, I want you like this in this pose, this position, these type of shoes. So typically Johns drive the industry, right? Because if the law enforcement gets really really tight on Johns, the industry will dry out in the area and they will move. That is what makes trafficking. They will move to where the law enforcement isn't
Mhm.
so big on the Johns. If I don't have a John, I don't have a need to be in this area. I'm just not there to. I'm really not there just to live. Like if it's not
Right.
profitable, having a quota is a real thing. And if it can't be met, like Elliot said, pimps talk to pimps. So hey, if all my Johns are being arrested over here in Orlando, hey, we're headed to Atlanta. Oh, all the Johns are being arrested in Atlanta. Oh my God, we're headed to New Jersey, Newark. If all the Johns are being arrested in Newark, we're going to Chicago, St. Louis. We're going to try Tempe, Arizona. We're definitely doing Dallas. It is. It's throughout the country. It's everywhere. It's called a track. It's called, it's either hot or it's not. And if it's hot, you need to
Mm.
go to it. If it's not, you need to stay away
We
from
found
it.
somewhere else. Wow.
Mhm.
The lifestyle. I can imagine that sounding exciting for somebody. A friend of mine mentioned about like she was approached on, being an entrepreneur, and there was this conference. Come to this conference. It's gonna be here. We'll fly you here, and we'll put you up. Basically, okay. First of all, so yeah, she knew the people that went. Like some people answered the call and they went, and it was like a setup to get people entered. Like you're gonna welcome to the ring. What?
Yeah, and we'll often see that in modeling and music videos.
Yes.
Those are things where you really need to have your heightened sense of awareness because modeling that gets you in clothing that you may not be comfortable wearing,
You're taking pictures.
but it's a job taking
Yeah.
pictures. It might transition into nude photos. Guess what? Now I have some collateral. I have some form of control over you. And once I have the control, my foot's in the door and I can use that against you. And that's part of the circuit. They'll put those ads out in areas where they think trafficking is going to be profitable or hot at the time. And that also works for girls that are in the life. They'll advertise themselves. Well, they won't. Their trafficker will advertise them that Monday in 4 different cities and see where they get the most demand. And then that's where they're going to go. And they kind of work on a rotation. You've got Birmingham, Atlanta, Nashville, New Orleans, Miami. The things
The
that
hot
make
spots.
Birmingham great for traveling make us great for trafficking.
If it's great for traveling, it's great for trafficking.
Yeah.
Wow. All right. So we are at the bottom of this hour. We're about to jump into our second hour. Ellie, you want to hang around?
I'm here.
All right, this is gonna take a couple of seconds. Y'all hang tight. It's Vital V949 WATV. We right back. We'll be right back. Watch.
Uh-oh.
Not bad. I got like 5%. I don't know if it's
Give
necessary.
her the iPhone. She got an iPhone. Give her the iPhone charger.
You got an iPhone?
It should be an iPhone charger right there on the.
This is going to be a celebration going down King Holiday Weekend, starting January 13th through January 17th. V to the King. We cannot be satisfied as long as a Negro in Mississippi cannot vote, and a Negro in New York believes he has nothing for which to vote. Brought to you by Renee Jefferson County Judge Elizabeth and the all new V94.9 WATV.
Is it working? Can you turn it sideways? Whoa, can you turn it sideways and it show?
Where the name says it all. Visit SeriousLawyers.com or call 205-900-0000.
She can flip her phone sideways.
Okay, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
We are the all new V94.9 WATV, with the V stands for variety. More music heard all over the world in your Apple Store at V94.9. The best variety of music turns up right now on the all new V94.9 WATV. We on the war tour, lady, we got the plan. Going into every place with a mic in our hand. We on a war tour, lady, we got the plan. Going into every place with a mic in our hand. Hey, this is exactly what the city been missing. Let's get them jumping and twisting. Thinking and reminiscing. I'm hoping you comprehending this is vital. And later through your hope, you ain't gonna find another life. I'm supposed to do, gon' keep the conversation playing. Hold up, you can't deny it, no sir. I know me, I'm just like throwing rocks at a train. We ain't gonna never slow down. I'm cool with that. Anytime we put it there, spread love. We got enough to go round. It's politics as usual way out in the city. Let's talk about what matters, but still keep it gritty. Tell them how the people feel against such a First Amendment. Freedom to speak your mind regardless of religion. Your opinion is your opinion. I ain't arguing with you. But maybe I am a war winner, number one in the hand. I'ma switch it up. Now watch me work when I get through. She picks it up and she gon' drop a couple jewels. Listen up, we gon' do war tour, ladies. We got the plan. Going into every place with a mic in our hands. We gon' war, ladies. We got the plan. Going into every place with a mic in our hands. They up here, Mountain Brook, East Lake,
Yeah, V94.9 WATV. We're on Sunday nights. The V stands for Vital. I am Lady Wu. Got my Vixens in the building. Guest Vixen 2. So, y'all, welcome on in. It is the third Sunday right here on the Abby Award-winning Vital Show. DMR, dating, mating, and relating. We just had like a heavy first hour with so much information. And then I'm listening to my intro. Like I'm this much of an overthinker. I'm like, damn. I'm talking about each and everywhere. He's shouting out these different neighborhoods and these different spaces, and I'm going there with a mic in my hand. That sounds like trafficking. Dang. Then I was like, nah, that's not what it is. That's just being vital. So we're everywhere. We are everywhere. But when you hear things and you really allow them to, speak to you, you really want to, you really pay attention to detail. It's everywhere. You start looking at everybody different. Let me see your wrist.
What you trying to
Hey,
hey girl. Like,
okay.
Yeah.
Whose name is that? It's 30 degrees outside. You out here with a tank top and some shorts on. What you doing? Okay. So yeah, thank you, Ellie, for joining us on that first hour. If you missed it, you can always go back and check these shows out. Like every single show is always posted for the most part. Go back to our YouTube page and check it out. Vital Show. That's where it is on YouTube. And then also on Facebook on the V949 page. Just go back to the Sunday before at 7 p.m. and you'll see the show. All right. So DMR, dating, mating, and relating, and even sticking into what we just keeping in stride with that and how situations can just turn. We have a lot of stuff to talk about, okay, in the news when it comes to DMR. So this is always a hot one because we have our own stuff. And I figured for January, we would talk about single solitude. Single solitude, the attitude of being single. I'm okay being single. Why? Because I'm okay being single. It's healthy. I don't have to worry about a lot of different things. It's you're in control of it most of the time. But then there always seems to be this sadness when I talk to people about being single. What is that face?
I be happy when I tell people I'm single. I'm excited.
Right? Like for some people, there is an excitement. Shouts out to the DMR group on Facebook. Um, we got some things there. So the first thing I want to talk about is this video that came out where a young lady shared a post. Let me see if I can get this up. So you want to recap what I'm trying to get at?
So there was a young lady that posted a video on TikTok. She was at a beach, heard her friend, and a guy approached her while she was in the ocean, and they was vibing. And
Was it vibe?
he gave her his number, and she stated that she did not save his number in her phone. So I guess she was just so infatuated with this little meeting that they had, and she got the video from her friend that was recorded and posted it. It went viral. And his wife saw it and jumped in the comments and was like, keep the post up. And, he a dog, basically, he doing this and he's responding and everything. So,
Share my whole page to everybody. Okay, okay.
Yeah. So my question is, she's saying that she did not save his telephone number in her phone.
Mm-hmm.
So if she did save his telephone number, like, what would have really been happening?
All right, let's see if we got it up. Thank you for that recap. Let's see. So if you're watching it's posted on our social media, on the stream, you can see it there. And I'm gonna try to get down to the video because he had something to say. So basically, Sent told you what it was, but he wanted to defend it. The wife said, "Girl, leave it up. You didn't do anything wrong. You didn't know he's the one that's married. Whatever. Let's find him. Oh, still all these pictures of him being married. Like, okay, let's see."
All right, what's up, guys? All right. So who makes
Stop popping your mouth.
This is the bald haired beard guy that's in the video next to cheetah print that's floating around. And I wasn't gonna comment to anything, honestly, because I know truth, everything that happened, but little Miss Cheetah is really trying to run off this clout that she got from completely capping.
Boy, hurry up.
So it's time for the truth.
Okay.
Now, I'll keep this short.
Please.
Ma'am, we did meet in Miami. We had a 5-minute convo, about 5, 6, 7 minutes, 7 at the most. 5 months ago, have not talked, came in contact, none of that. Text, right? Nothing. I didn't even know your name until all of this transpired and you sent.
He's getting my nerves. Taking too long. All right. So
boy, bye.
That's what he said. Let's see.
Exactly. Like you gave her your telephone number. So you're saying we didn't text, we didn't talk, but you wanted to, and you were trying to make that happen. It's just it didn't happen because she didn't save your number. So if that's your excuse, she didn't call you, so you didn't hear from her.
Black, we can hardly hear you. What did you say?
I said all that lip smacking and just and all that procrastinating. You're lying. Please move around.
Move around. And his wife pretty much made it clear, like, keep it up. Don't take your video down. Don't take your post down because he's gonna try to lie about it. So this may be a frequent thing with this guy, but it opens up for so much more vital conversation because you think about he's on a boys trip, and so you think if I'm not single and I'm in a relationship and my partner goes on a boys trip or a girls trip, can I trust them? Should I trust them? Then you think, well. I mean, you think about so many things, which basically puts people that aren't in relationship to the point where, hey, I'd rather not because I can't. I can't trust. You can't trust anybody. Then he goes to the extreme of making this video, trying to explain what we saw. We saw it.
So you're embarrassing your wife even more. You just should have kept your mouth shut.
It could have been worse defense. I didn't do more.
Right. It was just 7 minutes at the most. I mean, it was like 5 minutes, maybe 6. could have been 7 at the most. So all of these different things came up in the group, different conversation, different thoughts, different opinions about that part of relationship. And this went viral. This is like not just a Birmingham story. This is not just a where they at those. This is like a viral story from a beach trip. And I know I've been places out of town where I met people in those moments. Like we may be at a bar or something, I meet them. We may be at a show, I meet them. And don't really, it's the first question that you ask somebody, hey, are you married? Is that the first question that you ask? Hey, before we go any further, before we exchange names or anything, are you married?
And do you think they'll tell you the truth?
Hmm.
If they're talking to you in a way that's flirty, would they tell you yes?
Some people do. Yeah, like, shoot, I'm gonna tell you. I want you to know what it is. Okay. So I want to talk. I think, for single solitude, you ask the question, would they tell you? And so when you meet people, it's easy to say, yeah, I'm single. I'm not dating anyone. Like no one. My phone is dry. I don't have company at my house. I'm not going on dates. I'm not sexually active with anyone. Like you may tell those details if you're single, but when you are in a relationship, you don't even have to be married. How easy is it to volunteer that information when you're not with your partner? And I don't know what that looks like. I don't know how people do that now, or if they do it. So that's what we're talking about. Like, why be married if you're not happy in it, or if it's not something that you want to disclose, or whatever? Why even do it?
Yeah, aren't the rings supposed to tell you if they're married? If you're wearing a ring,
He didn't have on a ring at the
that's
beach.
what I'm saying.
He gonna be like Martin when Martin took his ring off and put it in a gym bag and lost it because he can get more women than Tommy and Cole did. So it's like.
But honestly, it is a common thing now. A lot of people are saying they're married and no one has a ring. She doesn't have one. He doesn't have one. So, how would I know?
How will I know? Why would you? Okay, so I guess the bigger question is, because a lot of people are asking this full 3-hour plus conversation about it this week with a group of people, which is why it comes to the airwaves tonight. And because of this story, why? And there was a guy that posted a response to this video. And people were tagging him in it because I don't know, I guess they thought he was the guy. I should have shared it. I'll go back and try to find it. But basically, he was saying he made the same mistake when he married young as well. I was young. I thought it was the right thing to do. I was in love. And so, yeah, we did it. But I wasn't ready. You have to be ready for mature relationships. You can't just jump in relationships and you know that you're not ready. But people do it every day. So, yeah, that's what we're talking about. 994-8949. 994-8949. Why do it if you're not ready? And ready does not mean older. It doesn't mean, well, because I'm almost 40 or because we have these children together. That's not what ready means. What's up, lovely bones?
I just was smacking my lips to play like oh boy.
Like that dude. Right.
But I say that it is really what stifles some women's independence. It is because at a very young age, we are told, hey, you are a beautiful young lady. You're going to be a beautiful bride. You just wait,
Wait,
so
what?
it is the expectation of life from a very young age that when I grow up, I'm going to be a beautiful bride and a great mom. It's really not much else told to young ladies early on. Like, hey, I mean, now it's something different being told, but I guess from our time, looking at him, he may be younger, but he appears to be in our age group,
Yeah.
So during his time frame, when he grew up, it was, oh my goodness, you're going to be a great worker, you're going to be a great husband. I don't think I can't, even as a child, of course I didn't have it, but I don't even recall people talking about it like it was some different option for you other than, oh man, you're gonna
To be a
grow
bride
up,
and
go
a
to
mom.
college, you're gonna go to college, you're gonna get married, and you're gonna have kids. That's what I remember the conversation being. I don't, when was it tell me, when was it anything else? When was it a diverse topic? What else have you ever heard a little girl told about her future?
And you have to do it by a certain age.
I didn't hear. So the crazy thing is, even for as much as this is what I do, and I love to make sure that people, this is what I like. That's not what I heard. I saw it. I did see it. My parents have been married as old as I am here, but my grandparents married as well. I saw it. I saw relationships. I saw marriages. I saw motherhood, but I don't know. It wasn't. I don't. It wasn't a thing like that. Like the thing for what I saw and what I was told was, do you like, hey, get it, go, get it, go. We got you. We backing you. You got forever to do that. That's kind of what I got. And you would think that the messaging that people are teaching their children is based on experience. So I heard a lot of different stuff because I was around a lot of experienced people that were open about relationships. And even if they weren't open about their own stuff, I saw some stuff that I was like, oh, that's crazy. That's dysfunctional right now. I don't want that. I don't want to divorce the same dude and marry him again and divorce him again. And then he's still my roommate. That's weird. I don't do that.
I stay with my baby mama, but we not together.
I don't want to be a part of that. Right. So, yeah, the lessons that we learn about relationship and why we make moves that we know we're not ready for. I'm going to just say, yeah, I called off a whole engagement because for a couple of reasons, but one of those reasons could have been considered not being ready to commit to something that I knew was not 100% what it should have been.
And I think that's the thing. We need to have these conversations with women and girls, especially girls when they're growing up.
Right.
They don't aspire to marry someone great, right? I think when we're children, when we're young, you're going to find a great guy. When you grow up, you're going to marry someone wonderful. No, they're going to marry someone wonderful. And I think we often talk to women differently than we talk to men.
Absolutely.
Men is you should be a provider and you should be stable. And after a certain period of time, you have to be ready for marriage because that's the timeline. Whereas women, it's you're going to be a great partner, a wonderful wife, a wonderful mother. And we don't have the same conversations with women about you're going to have a great career. You're so smart. You're so intelligent. You're so independent. Those aren't compliments that we often give to women. Compliments we give to women are you're pretty. You're going to find someone wonderful.
Trophy wife.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is a very vital conversation because it really only happens on the radio. Like we don't sit around and have this type of conversation when we talk about love and marriage or marriage and relationship. We really don't. And I want us to be real about what we have been told. So, Ellen, I'm so glad that you're here and you're as vocal and as diverse as you are. And that we have that same level of exposure and diversity because we can have the conversation that Black girls, the conversation sounds different from what we think it sounds like for white girls. Like for white girls, is we think, and I want you to tell us what you think and what you've heard. We think that you all go to college to find a husband.
A lot of people do.
Right, that's the word. Like, girl, they go and find a husband.
Call it ring by spring.
I like it.
A lot of people do. I can't say that's not an anomaly. And I think that's a conversation we need to have in schools is
right.
You're taking on this debt and being here
for a husband.
For what? You could just live near the school and go out and find the same guy. You don't have to be actually paying for your education to do that. I didn't go to law school just to get married.
Right.
No.
For a ring by spring. So
no, that's an expensive ring. I could have bought it myself and just not and saved myself the years of trouble in studying.
Girl.
It's like a financial agreement.
Yeah.
It's kind of
like, okay, he goes to this college and he's in this fraternity, you're in this sorority. You guys are made a match for each other. Like, yeah, and your babies are gonna come in,
trust
be in this fraternity.
But furthermore, and then Ellie, I do want you to respond to what I asked or what my stereotypical statement was. But the other side of that is that white women understand more of what it may look like if things aren't 100. Like we're going to be together and we're going to build this financial foundation. We're going to build this family. But then, hey, I might do some other things on the side. And you're supposed to be okay with that. I say, I ain't that white girl.
That's not me. Now, I can't speak for everyone, obviously.
Absolutely. Nothing is general.
I think there are certain personality types that are so desperate to be married and wanted and loved and accepted that they tolerate more. And I think that goes back to that conversation of you're more than who you're married to and you're more than your partner.
Yes.
And if those conversations aren't had, white, black, whatever, then they're going to find themselves in those relationships where they feel lucky to be married.
Girl, what did you say? So yeah, that right there. What stereotypical things have you heard about Black girls and marriage?
I actually haven't heard of anything I can think of when it comes to stereotypical in marriage.
Yeah.
I mean, honest, I can't think of anything.
Because we don't go to HBCUs to get married. We go to turn up. So that's the first thing. But like, so the idea of Black women and marriage is it not a thing?
And then you have to look at how many women, I think for both black and white women, are pressured. Like, you're 35, you're not married yet, you don't have any kids yet. When you gonna have a baby? When you gonna beat that man? Stop playing. Are you gay? Or this, like, it's so many. Like, why can't
Very
I just be
topical with the
single and pursue
holidays
my
just
career?
happening. I'm
Right.
in my 30s. I'm single. Don't worry, you're going to find someone. Or I know someone great and they're not great.
And I'm not
like,
looking
I'm not
for
looking
someone-
for any man.
Right.
Right.
Did I give off that vibe? I'm sorry. I need to fix that if that's the vibe I'm giving off. I don't want just anyone.
Like, I'm happy, even though I'm single, and I think that's a big stereotype. When you're single,
Yeah.
you're bitter, you're hurt, you can't get a man. But a lot of times, it's peaceful and you are happy. Like, I'm happy being single. I'm not having to deal with any drama from anybody. And so I'm looking at other people that like force themselves to be in relationships, and they're the ones that's not happy. They're the ones that's getting hurt while I'm sitting back in my own little square
chilling.
When you're single, I spend my money on me.
Yes, with no
If
answering.
I
to
want to go somewhere, I
anybody.
do. If I want to do
Girl.
something, if I want to eat somewhere, if I want to wear something, no one tells me anything different. And I enjoy that. And I don't think you should get married or even be in a relationship until someone takes where you are now and makes it better.
This good stuff. Got a comment too. Hey, Marlon, where a guy jumps in. Marlon says she's right. At a young age, men are told that they are to be the breadwinner and the provider. So some men have a hard time committing to a relationship until they feel they are stable. Yeah, some good men, yeah, but other men just have a, I don't want to connect. I don't want to commit until I don't know, until it's almost too late.
I think in our social media kind of world we're in now, we
Mhm.
have the bigger, better syndrome that if I settle down with this person, could I find someone better? Could I do better? And I think women have that too, that, oh,
We
if I
do.
commit to him, what if someone a year down the road, 2 years down the road comes around, they are more attractive, they have a better job. Am I ready to commit to this person? And I think that's a nature of like the dating apps, Instagram, Facebook. I think that culture creates the situation of uncertainty of, am I making the right choice?
Is that like a demographic? I mean, like I guess a certain age group type thing, or is it like So I would assume that most of our listeners are 25 and up, rounded up to 35 and up, but definitely 25 and up. Where let's look at the 35 and up. Let's look at that age group. Let's start there, because I think by that time you have an idea of what you want life to look like. Like, what should this look like, and what would it look like if someone else was in it with me? How would it change? Would I have to alter who I am? Would I have to, change my friend? Like, you think about all of that the older and more mature you get, which is why I say you have to be ready for a relationship. You have to be mature for a relationship. Those sacrifices and compromises that you have to make in relationship that you don't have to be concerned with single. By our age group, are people really thinking that though, based on social media, or is it that, hey, I'm just seeing people post engaged and making moves and buying properties together and traveling together, and I just want that? It doesn't have to be bigger and better. I just need somebody to do it with.
I think I always joke with my friends that they love my dating stories because it's such a train wreck. I'll be honest. But dating in your
Like all of
30s, I
us.
find there's like two main categories of men that I'm seeing.
Mhm.
I call them either Peter Pans, so that like, oh, I'm not ready.
Girl.
I'll find someone when I'm 40, and then we're gonna have 5 kids. I'm like, do you know how this works?
Right. It's the other
No.
one, Pinocchio.
Yeah, I'm like, will they be 21 when you're 40?
Right.
Okay.
Right.
Or they are divorced, they've got kids,
Mhm.
and they're either damaged, something happened, they're
Mhm.
emotional, and they need time. And so those relationships take longer. And I feel like those are the two kind of categories in dating in your 30s you see. There are those unicorns,
Mhm.
but for the most part, that's kind of what I've seen.
And the unicorns, they are in these situations that are complex, like the girl at the water. Look, then you said Peter Pan, I said Pinocchio.
Yeah.
Stop lying. Why you lying? Why is that always the thing?
And in today's society,
What is that?
it's easy to get caught. Everything,
right.
like,
what are you lying
Like,
about?
this man was probably over here happily cheating, and you walked over to the wrong woman in the ocean.
With her homegirl with a phone.
And
A
now,
homegirl with a phone is deadly.
like, with social media and everything now, like, you have private investigators. I'm one part-time on social media. Like, girl, I met this guy. Look him up on social media.
Don't we?
And like, oh, we have mutual friends, this and that. Oh, like you can find out anything about people on social media. And people portray themselves to be something so much on social media, and it's not that. And like with dating on social media, you think, oh, this guy is like this. He takes these pictures. He does it, and it's like, what happened?
Who are you really? You're listening to Vital Third Sundays DMR. Are you really ready for a relationship? Are you single and in solitude? Are you okay with that? Is there a different type of peace, or are you sad? Some people really hate being single, and this is the top of the year, and they say that, hey, by December 2022, I'll be married. What? Are you dating? So we left off last show. The last time we had a conversation about DMR, we were talking about dating. And I want to go back to that because when you talk about being single and solitude, dating does definitely come up. Like, do we know how to date? What does a date consist of? What if you see me out Tuesday dating, and then Thursday I'm dating someone else, and then Sunday I'm taking a date to church with me? This is three dates in a week. But do we date proper? So when we come back, we're going to talk about that. Lovely Bones is roaring and rearing to have this discussion. And I'm so glad that we have somebody that's not always in to join us as well. And I think Ellie's perspective and personality is great for this conversation. So keep hanging around. For those of you who are watching and listening, we want to hear from you too. So we're going to open the phone line so you can join in. Another break that's going to be really, really quick. And I tell you what, the person that's coming up in this next story, he's about to speak about Dr. King right now. Not him. Him.
That's V to the King, brought to you by presiding judge Elizabeth French. Here's hip hop icon, Common.
I know when Dr. King talked about, black men and white men, Jews and Gentiles, Protestants and Catholics, people coming together, just coming together and not having barriers in between them. I think that, and I don't want to say I was the first person to say this, because I even heard Will say this, that hip hop is sort of part of that Martin Luther King dream, because hip hop has been a bridge to bring together black people, white people, Japanese, just Asian in general, just Latinos. It's been a voice for so many people, and such a bridge, like where, at my concerts, it's white kids, it's Latino kids, it's Asian kids, and we all sharing the same experience, and I think hip hop is part of that dream, being seen, bringing people together.
Happy MLK Day with V to the King, brought to you by presiding judge Elizabeth French and the all-new V94.9 WH.
See, we're back, and that was Common. And Common is a part of this next story that we're going to go to before we talk about dating, because he was dating Tiffany Haddish. And Tiffany Haddish was just arrested over in Georgia with a DUI. Cute mugshot. She looked like everybody else with this low blonde cut. And I'm like, girl.
Her mugshot was cute.
It was, I guess. So, yeah. So, allegedly, she went to sleep behind the wheel. They said that she had possibly been smoking and seemed emotionally distraught. And, of course, everybody goes straight to, well, she did just have a breakup with Common. And I'm like, well, does that have anything to do with this? And it very well could, because we do, people process things differently. And when I have to process in front of everybody what I'm going through and what I've just experienced, I don't know what you might get when I get out. I don't know what's going to happen. So basically, Common said that he issued the first statement, but then her social media is kind of not what he's saying. He's saying that they started dating during the pandemic, when everybody was isolated and on lockdown. And they did well during that time. They were vibing. They were enjoying each other. They were getting to know each other, building great rapport and falling in love. And then the chains were lifted. Everybody was able to go back out. And it just wasn't the same. It just wasn't the same. You're back out here and moving around and stuff, and it's just not the same. So Tiffany says that, hey, it was a little bit more to the story than that, and I'm not happy about it. And so, yeah, I'm smoking and drinking a little bit more. And yeah, I just went to sleep behind the wheel, and I'm gonna smile on this mugshot. Been there before. So let's talk about it. It's DMR right here on B90.9 WATV dating, how it ends, dating, mating, and relating, all that type of stuff. We're going to just mix it all in and talk about it tonight. And our special guest from earlier in the show is still sticking around with us. So one time for Ellie. Rosa, you said date them all. And Tiffany Haddish said, well, I tried to settle down and I might as well have been dating them all. Like, why not?
Yeah,
What? Like, what?
that's my
It's a conversation
go-to.
to have.
It is because I didn't learn how to date till I was older. But it's not, I've never seen any of my friends date. Shoot, you my friend, you won't even date. So I mean, it's culturally not something that I'm accustomed to seeing. So when I realized that it's okay if I date 3 people this week, how else am I gonna get to know them? I'm not sleeping with them. I can clearly go out to Panera Bread with as many people as I like.
You gonna take all of them to the same place or tell them to take you
Maybe.
there? It's my
And I've done
Yep.
that. I take people to the same place. Like, oh, I go to this little spot. I used to go by myself, and like, honey, I had to tell those bartenders.
But if they know you're dating, you don't have to. It's nothing to explain. Like, hey, I'm dating other people. But I think, Rosa, what happens is, like, because we already don't have these conversations, and because of the idea of what dating looks like, I don't know what you're doing I don't know what you're doing with those people, and that's not. I can't take you serious. Like, I don't want to pursue anything with you if I know you're dating 5 other people and you brought them out here this week. Like, I don't know. I want to be involved with that.
Well, I don't know how you would know it beyond me telling you, hey, I'm dating other people. I wouldn't know where would we start. Am I supposed to start with monogamy with you so that I can figure out if I like you by myself while we one-on-one? No, I'm good on that. So I'll go ahead and juggle these personalities and see which one I really do want to pursue in solitude, as you say, right? Because what's happening is I'm learning why people are leaving each other. I'm learning I don't like you. I might love you. I'm gonna love you forever from over here while you over there. But listen, it's not that I don't like you anymore. So the way you chew when you eating that bread right there.
Oh,
like
I hate
that,
it. You
mm-mm.
goat, you
You see what I'm saying? And if I didn't date you before I brought you
freaking
home
animal.
and we was together, now I'm stuck with you with the wet mouth with the bread. I'm good on that. So let me date you.
Wait, okay. So dating. What is dating? Let's start there. What is dating? I'm single. I'm at peace with being single, but I want to date a little bit. So what would be the definition of dating?
That's a good question.
Right.
I honestly can't. I honestly will say I don't know how to date. I don't know what dating.
Do you know what it
is?
is? Okay, so I don't know how because I don't know what it is. I would define dating as the rapport building time between 2 individuals where we are getting to know each other. We also during this time may express expectations or interest. And it's almost like a interviewing vetting process. Like, hey, it's getting to know people, it's going out, it's spending time with individuals. That's what it is. That's what it should be. Spending time with individuals, getting to know them. You say dinner dates. What's a dinner date? We go to dinner and we talk. It's a date that we set. March 31st at 7:22 p.m. We're gonna go and have this dinner date. And we're gonna enjoy each other. Yeah, that's what it is.
To see when I get to those dinner dates and I do things and they be like, well, oh, what do you want? What are you looking for? Nothing. I just need company because I'd be bored.
So that's what you're looking for. I'm not looking for a relationship. I'm looking for companionship from time to time.
And I don't like to be bothered all the time. So I may not answer your phone calls or answer your texts, depending on your approach to me. And after the night, like a couple of months, you may not hear from me. I saw a post I shared actually where it said the inconsistent woman, where it's like she has a great personality. She probably entertaining her ex possibly, and she will disappear because of life situations, but she will text you 3 months later, I hope everything is well. And I was like, oh, you ain't got to tell my business like that because that's what I do. But I know there are things that run deeper to why I act that way.
Okay.
but it's like it's comfortable for me. Like I can just detach myself from you, and I don't have to explain anything to you.
That's a gift because other women, a lot of women, don't have that. Like we want answers, we want consistency. So if I'm the one that might be, you might be onto something there. But the versatility of personality, like that's what dating is about. Having different people for different things and not really always thinking that it is just sexual. And I'm almost certain that that's where the issue comes in.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You all think so?
Yeah.
Okay, because people think that because you're dating and you're seeing with multiple people that you're having sex with multiple people, and that is where the problem comes. So if I feel that that's what you're doing, I definitely don't want to pursue a relationship with you.
No.
So where do we go from here? You're dating all these people, and then what?
Well, I think
mean,
at some point they have to fall off.
They fall off.
Yeah, I mean, you go on a date with someone, you don't vibe, you don't go on another date with them.
True.
You can't consistently date multiple people, the same people over the course of time. At some point, you have to either make a decision. Either you're interested in them and you want to pursue them, or you're not. And I think if you're dating them for a long period of time and you don't know, then that's your answer.
You don't
If
know.
if it's not a absolute yes, then it's a no. Because you're looking for a needle in a haystack, right? If you're dating for an eye towards something serious,
Yeah.
you're looking for one. And there's a lot of others, and you're going to hear a lot of no's, and you're going to give a lot of no's.
Mhm.
That's the whole point.
That's okay. So if you look at it like I hate to say a game, but that's kind of what it sounds like. You look at it like a game. You know, we're just kind of playing fair. We're going to move around the board until we figure out where we want to be, who we like the most, who's the greatest contender here, and who's to choose. Or is it just open game for who chooses or who cuts the person off? Is it more on the male or the female, or is it a mature conversation? How does this happen when you kind of decide to cut somebody off or let them roll off?
I think it depends on how long you've been dating.
Okay.
Yeah.
So time.
And how honest you are at the very beginning. Like,
Okay.
I'm not looking for anything serious, but if it leads to that, hey, I'm okay with that depending on what it leads to, how this goes, what our vibe is. But I'm telling you up front right now, I'm not looking for that.
Okay. Bones?
But I think realistically, so I think I'll speak from a realistic perspective. I don't think we're hearing that, right, when we're dating people. I want to be honest. I date people all the time, and Lord knows some of the dates are horrible. I don't want to be ugly to people, so sometimes, you might have to call and realize, oh, you're not answering, or I can say that is truly my Achilles heel, telling you no, because listen, okay, hey, how you doing? And I will still answer the phone. No, I don't want to go out with you. And the conversation is tiring. Listen, child, be blessed is what I want to tell you. But you continue to call. So I want, maybe I need advice on how that's why I'm listening on. Well, how do you cut it off? Because realistically, that's not happening. Realistically, it's like, I don't want to hurt you.
Just kind of fade it out. So
yeah, let it fade out. Please fade off.
So no, I'm one who fully believes in closure, no matter what type of relationship it is. You have those familiar relationships where this is your family and you don't like, I'm never speaking to you again. You just kind of go with the flow. Like, this is how we adjust as our relationship continues. Then you have the relationship or the conclusion of dating. Like, we're not even dating. We were building rapport. And I can give an honest example of that as well. Met a guy and was kind of trying to look for something to, somebody to spend a little time with. And this is a good guy. Like, you're a good guy. But it's just something about you that I can't put my finger. It's a couple things about you that I can't put my finger on. But
I call that the ick.
Yeah, it's something.
Just get the ick.
Right? It was just like, okay, so you're cool. Conversation is okay, but it's not that. It's not that at all. Mm-hmm. And I would have the conversations for a minute, well, you want to go out or I'm going here, you want to meet me here? Okay, I'll try. I'll do that. And I can make it work wherever. So, okay, cheese. But then eventually it came to the point of conversation. I had already said, hey, I'm not looking for a relationship. That's not what I want. I don't want to date. Look, look, sir, I don't want a relationship. But then you go on to continue to say things that sound relationship like, or like I'm the one for you. And I'm like, I can't be because God told me that it ain't you. So how am I that person to you? So eventually I just said, hey, you know what? This ain't it. We're seeing things differently. And I've already said very clearly that I'm not where you are right now. So uh, I'm sorry, but this isn't it. And that was the last conversation.
Yeah, like
Clean cut.
yeah, it's just like certain things, like you said, it's just that if, but it's like I had a conversation with somebody last night. The way you communicate, I can't get with it.
I don't
And
like
if it's this way now, I can't see myself spending the rest of my life with you or investing months or years with you. And I got to go through this, and I'm just annoyed and irritated all the time because you can't do something as simple as communicate how I want to communicate,
Girl.
or just compromise a little bit.
Let me
Yeah,
ask
I
you
don't
guys.
need constant communication, but I need something consistent.
Consistent
And if they
communication.
can't match that energy, then I get the ick and I'm out.
Yeah, like what are you doing? Where do you live? Who lives with you? What's
So
up, boss?
what's the time frame though? Because I hear it, and I want to get with it. I don't want to just let people phase out. How long are you knowing them before you're being so direct? Like, yo, your conversation is whack. Um, Listen, everything about you is whack. Your
It's whack.
presentation was on point though. That's how we got here. But it's a no. How long do you know? Like after you've called my phone a few times, and now, I've got the courage, I'll tell you, but it's definitely about 6 weeks in. But I knew from week one, Lord, thank you so much. We made it to week 6, so I could tell you. How long are you guys taking before you're telling them like this isn't working, or they get the ick, or you're not conversing well with me, sir, so have a great day.
As soon as I'm certain that, like after I processed it over and over again and thought about, like Sense said, how far ahead can I see with this or with you? I hate how you sound. I don't like your jeans. I hate how you hold your mouth. I hate how your car is horrible. When I say things about this particular topic, you make things up that I know you don't know about it, and it upsets me when you do that. I don't want to do this anymore. I don't think this is a good fit. You're not a bad person. You're just not the person for me. I could do that in 3 days if that's what I gather.
And that's
What am I
it.
waiting for?
You're not you may be a great person for somebody else, but you're just
Not
not
for
that
me.
great person for me. Sorry.
Now I can do it up front, Rosa, but then sometimes we'll get in because we go into situations the wrong way. We do the wrong things first, and it makes you hang around a little bit longer.
Mm.
And that may be an issue.
I think sometimes, so I'll say to myself, well, maybe Santa, you being a little too mean, or like just calm down and just let this person, be who they are.
Yeah.
And maybe you overreacting.
Yeah,
okay,
maybe.
I'll do that. And then it's like, nah,
My
I
thing
was
is,
right.
if I'm not excited to hang out with you, it's time. Because
Yeah.
think about your friends. Like to this day, my friends from growing up, I'm excited to see them.
Yeah.
If we're going to meet up, good. But if I get to a point where I'm talking to someone or dating someone and I'm like, oh, man, I made plans with them tonight. Really don't want to do that. Warning sign. That means I've got the ick. I got to
Yeah.
have the conversation.
Or like if you don't get excited when you see their name pop up.
You're just like annoyed or angry.
Yeah.
What he want now?
Right. Oh my goodness. So yeah, that's what we're talking about tonight, guys. If you're listening and you have thoughts about dating, this thing is complicated for you. 2022 is your year. I'm gonna get out. I'm gonna date. I'm gonna do more. I'm gonna get on some dating apps, dating sites. But you don't really understand the concept of it. And we really went in on this before. Like when we left the last day of 2021, we talked about dating and dating them all. And I just talked about how much energy that takes. It takes a lot of energy, a lot of, for me, a lot of mental planning and space. Because what's your name? Oh, I forgot. I thought I did that with so and so. So
I told you this last week. You didn't tell me that.
Oh, you're right. Sorry.
Okay.
we didn't go here. Oh, no, that one. You my bad.
Now that will happen. Now, be prepared for that. That'll happen. And
who wants that?
Anybody single wants that. We're not in a relationship. I was talking to Larry. I apologize. I thought I was talking to you, Steve. But what you and I were talking about, Steve, was now I'm great at that now, but I'm not great at like once.
Cutting it off.
And the chemistry, and it could be so icky. I love that. It's the ick. Like it could just be like no, and it'll take me so long to tell you. Like I really be waiting on you to catch the vibe, and you still talking about the love of your life, and I'm like, where? Because I would love to meet her with you.
It's you. So look, there were other stories too with DMR this week, and one of them hit kind of close to home, and it's a swift transition with Jay Barker and Sarah Evans. And if you ever listen to the station, you remember Jay, and Jay was, Alabama football player. Sarah Evans is a um, phenomenal country singer, top songs. They've been married 14 years. 14 years. She had also been married 13 years to someone else before him. That's a lot of time. So we'll talk about that too within this story. But she filed for divorce back in August on the 23rd due to irreconcilable differences and inappropriate marital conduct. So this kind of leads us back to the first story, but it still comes in with the dating. Like, how far can I see myself with you if I see things in the beginning that are contrary to what I want? So, first of all, well, let's just look at the allegations because we don't want to go in too deep and not really knowing what happened, right? But the allegations are that she was leaving a party with her neighbor, and then she was in the car with the neighbor. They were going to drop her off, and got to her driveway, and he was in the driveway. They've been separated, not living in the same space. Okay, so that's the first thing. This all happened in Tennessee. He wasn't living there anymore. He's living back here at home. But when he saw her, says he hit the gas backwards to run over her. That's the allegation. So just that much. That's all we're gonna get into, just as far as with the stories, what happened in this particular story. But how love and relationship and all of this can go way in either direction, even after being together that long. 14 years married to him. She had already been married 13 years to somebody else before. And she was seeking divorce due to irreconcilable differences, meaning that we couldn't figure it out, whatever it is. We see it differently. And then inappropriate marital conduct. So Jay issued a statement saying that, hey, we're not going to get into details for the sake of our children. And basically, that's our business. And of course, it'll probably come out later. But that's what he said. And he also said he posted a Bible verse and was saying that the first person to tell the story is just telling their story. What was it saying? It was a whole Bible verse.
A whole bunch of BS.
It was a Bible verse, girl. Hold on.
The first person that tells Proverbs 17, 18 through 24. Basically, like, I told my story first, so you got to believe what I say.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. Lovely Bones, why you looking like that?
Child. Because verses, I thought you said he had a Bible verse. So he had verses.
Yeah, it's on Instagram. And a statement. So
after he ran over her with the car?
He didn't. He missed. But it was the idea that it was just the idea. It was the idea that you were enraged so much at that point that this is, like that's the response. So with us talking about DMR and relationships and dating and just thinking about like how far it can go and how it may end up. I've been asking this question a lot lately about relationships of any kind. What does the end look like? And I've been so big on that question here lately for multiple reasons. But what does the end look like? Like, does it look like catastrophe? Does it look like a lot of hurt and chaos? Can it just look like, you know what? We've come to an end. Basically how we're saying about cutting these small, not small, but these situations off that we may get in starting to date, how we cut those off. But like 14 years, 15 years, saw somebody locally, 16 years, been married that long and called it quits. There was another story with a divorce after so long where we just kind of figured out that it ain't. I don't want to do it. So it goes back to the very beginning of this conversation. This is not where I want to be anymore in my life. And so I'm filing for divorce.
And she did this twice.
Really?
A long period of time.
Oh, yeah. 13 and 14 years.
Yeah.
Girl, she like to be married. I like me a husband. So that's where we are. Just thinking about how important marriage is to people. Why can't I just be with my life partner forever and we not get married, or we not
Mhm.
have to be concerned about titles and have all these stipulations put on us because that's what people say we're supposed to do. We have a good time together. This is the person that I go out to eat with and we have great conversation, or this is the person that I take trips with and we have a great time, or this is the person that I call when I need somebody to open jars for me because he is handy and I love to see him flex his muscles when he comes to help me, and I
Right.
hug on him. Whatever.
And if we have an argument or whatever happens, you can go back to your house and we'll talk later on. Love you, bye. But
Right.
no.
So dating, mating, and relating, dating, marriage, and relating. What and why is so much emphasis put on that part of dating, mating, and relating? Like, oh, we got to get married, and you're not even compatible, or it's not even where you want to be. That's what we're talking about. Anybody want to jump in? What?
I
Help me
I think
understand.
it's more transactional because of
Mm,
of upbringing. I don't want to use the term grooming, but
transactional.
it's from the earlier hour, but it is almost transactional from being groomed as a child that this is what we should do, right? So
Mm-hmm.
even when you think about grooming, you think about that this is the goal. So no matter what I have to go through to get to the goal is to be married. Well, I'm not compatible with Cinta, but she's who I'm dating, and she's been to my mama house 5 times. No, my mama don't like her. I don't like when she
Right.
does this. But again, we've been
It's
on six
transactional.
dates. It's transactional, 6 dates now. My mama told me after 30 days, this is a viable candidate. I think I'm gonna move forward with Cinta.
Oh my goodness.
It happens. I'm weighing out my pros and cons. I'm not. Oh my God, it's not a lighthearted Disney movie moment where bluebirds are flying around my head. No, no, that's not happening. But I do think it's transactional where it's like, oh, okay, well, yeah, she stepped on my heart twice, but I'll go ahead and propose to her because I've been dating her on and off since college, and it's about time I move forward with whatever relationship we're going to move forward with. It's transactional. It isn't
So look,
emotional.
it's transactional, not emotional. When you say transactional, transactions are, business deals, security, safety, whatever. So I'm looking, when I hear, like, what I'm seeing a lot of now is that, hey, this person held me down financially. This person invested in my goal of this. This person was always stable. She was safe, when I was locked up, she put money on my books. Like, I hear so much of that.
Mhm.
Or either we met young and I was inexperienced, she was inexperienced, we experienced together, we got married, and now I'm more experienced. Or a female may be saying, hey, I saw the anger streak. At first it was cute. I thought he really cared, and he was just looking out, but then it started to be toward me, and now I want out. I didn't really know. So it's so many different reasons why people do marry. And I just wonder nowadays, do people truly marry for love and respect?
Well,
And I don't know.
think about Disney. That was brought up already. When we're kids, think about the kind of things that we watch and what
Yeah.
we're told. Is there ever a Disney movie where they end up just together?
Hmm.
No, they get married.
It should be.
Because that's, if you're happy, that's what you do, is you get married. That's
Yeah,
what we're
I
taught
never want to let you go.
from such a young age, is that when things are good, you get married. That's how things
Yeah,
end.
you
And
kissed
that's how
me
the
and I
story
woke up.
ends, is marriage.
Let's get married.
Yeah.
You're
I
the
can't
one
wait
for
to
me.
put this book out because I talk about the fairy tales and how, it's okay to want that fairy tale, but the reality that you'll get it and it'll play out the way that the movies and books read for them to. Nah, it's more to the story than that. There's way more to the story than that. And if you do get the fairy tale, now I hope you know your prince, or your princess. I hope like, get to know the person. Like, get to know the person.
Yeah, and I think we need to redefine fairy tale, because your fairy tale can be having that dream job or being financially independent,
Mhm.
or whatever it is you want it to be is a fairy tale. A fairy tale isn't necessarily as a female, you get yourself in a tricky situation and a guy saves you, so you marry him.
Right.
Like a Hallmark Christmas movie. And
Yeah.
that's why I hate those movies, because it's like I'm this independent woman that has everything going for myself. I
Then I
moved to
get a
this
flat tire.
small country
Yep.
and I meet this big muscular guy, and
Yes.
he's like pride and joy of the small town, and
Yeah.
then I'm hard to get, and
Yeah.
he gets me and we get married and all this. Like, no, that's not finna
Yeah,
happen.
like
Every
that's
story-
it.
I'm not finna go to Demopolis and meet my knight in shining armor. I'm not finna do that. But and
Every
then
story ends in marriage.
Yeah.
Why? Why does it end in
Hmm.
marriage? Why don't we start a story with marriage and see where it goes? Why
Mhm.
can't it end happily if they're not together?
You might need to write it. I know my story sounds something like that. Like you do want there are moments. There are moments when you do want a little bit of all of it. Like I think even I know that married people want their space as well. Like you don't I want you here forever, but dang, I don't want to see you today. I can only imagine being at home and every day the same person pulls up in the same vehicle, getting out doing the same. Why you didn't go somewhere else first? You know, like I've been seeing you do this for 20 years. I'm sick of seeing you come here every day. Go take a trip. But then they take a trip and you see him out on the beach acting single. So like what? Like what? How does it really shape up? What do I really like? Do you really want it? Or what?
and that's what that I like. I don't want that. Like I guess I just haven't met that person that makes me want to be that way.
Mm.
But it's like I get tired easily. Like any little thing can irritate me. So I'm like, okay, I ain't gotta see you. I don't want to live with you. Like I don't want to move in with
Woo.
nobody.
Mm-mm.
I can come to your place, you come to my place, we can go get a hotel, but I don't want to live with you every day. So I know if I don't want to do that, I don't want to be married, because it's like
Yeah.
that's it.
I'm-
I just can't see
now
myself
we're
doing that right now.
stuck. Oh boy.
Yeah.
All right. Fast five. These are the final 5 minutes of the show for tonight, this DMR. And I'm quite sure Dr. King's dream was not for all of us to be married. I'm quite sure that it wasn't that, but it was for all of us to live equally, unified, and peacefully. That was a big part of his dream. And today is his birthday, and the celebration has been all weekend. Tomorrow, there's going to be some observations and different things going on. I'll be going down to the Civil Rights Institute throughout the day tomorrow, doing some things. I also, just be sharing and doing what's vital tomorrow. Hopefully you'll do the same. And I just kind of wanted to close on that. Even if you want to look at love and the dream, he wanted all of us to be able to be hand in hand and share and live peacefully. That was the main thing. That was a big part of his work. That was a major part of his work. And I want us to just kind of share our thoughts on Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. for this year's King Day. I'll start the impact that Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. had on all society, like everybody everywhere. There's somebody's name. He got a street everywhere. Everywhere. If my great works could get me a street everywhere, schools named after me, people feeling unified and encouraged. And if I could do that, if I like we saw him do it, we see how it's continuing. No matter, I never see King Day going away, but like the momentous contributions of Dr. Martin Luther King, if I could get a piece of that, if I could do some of that, then my living will not have been in vain. So he is definitely motivating in that way for me. One of the most vital figures that I think most of us know. What about you all?
It's just the fact of growing up as a child, you read these stories, you heard these stories, and the fact that I'm grown now and my kids can come to me and say, well, Martin Luther King did this and Martin Luther King did that, and we can have a conversation. You impact people's lives so much that you have your birthday as a holiday. Like you've done something right. You've done something right in your life. So that's motivation to do anything in any aspect of your life.
Amen. Yes, sir.
Yeah, I would say I think it speaks volumes that just the memory of him is energizing and exciting and hopeful and reflective. I think you've done a lot in your life, not only if your birthday is a holiday. I mean, that's great. And you've got streets and you've got statues and you've got memorials, but just even your name itself brings a feeling to people.
Yeah.
I mean, you can't aspire to do anything better than that.
Mm-hmm.
Ladies in the virtual studio.
I agree. The dream of Dr. King, I think I see it so much more now as an adult because I have so many I have such a diverse field of friends, right? And I don't think I knew how. I don't think I would have known how great everybody was had we not been able to kind of live the dream, right? If he hadn't asked us to live the dream, right? So I have to say that it's impactful in my everyday life right now, and I'm appreciative to it. So,
all right, Miss Black, you want to contribute to the thoughts for the King on this 2022 King Day? If you do, just unmute and I'm looking. But those are some powerful, powerful sentiments, ladies. And I'm just so happy to be here. I was sitting here working the board, just thinking about how, like, I don't know that women would have been able to learn or do what I do 50 years ago, and then Black women at that. So, not to say that Dr. King just had this pivotal part in it, but I thought about it tonight. Hey, here we are at the end of the show, top of the next hour. You all have a wonderful Sunday night. Thank you for tuning in. If you know me, you know that that's my favorite song playing in the background of all time. So I'm about to go cry and sing it out loud. Y'all have an amazing week. Tomorrow's a day on, not a day off. So do something that means something to society. In short, go out and be vital. Hope you enjoyed tonight. We enjoyed you. Bye-bye.
Is here for Birmingham and our surrounding community. We are here to entertain, educate.
All right, everyone, we are out of here. Thank you guys for tuning in tonight and sharing with us. We'll catch you next Sunday. Bye-bye.
It was fun.
I'm glad you, and then you just jumped in so naturally with all of the other stuff.
Dating's a hot topic, especially in your 30s.
And I honestly thought, like, when I was in my early 20s,